My dudes, my guys, my freaking boys. I assume that you clicked this video because maybe you're thinking about drifting a Miata, or maybe you're just trying to support the YouTube channel, which I appreciate. But this video, we're going to talk about drifting a Miata, what you need, what you don't need, what people say on the internet, what's true, what's not true, tire size, stuff like that. So let's get into it. All right, first thing you're going to need before you even get a Miata, right? You're going to need a hair dryer because you're a hairstylist now. Okay, get that. Just figure that one out. All right. But for real, all right. So you have a Miata, I assume, if you're watching this or you're thinking about picking one up. First thing you're gonna want FDF kit. You're gonna want a V8. You're gonna want some 235 rear tires on the back of this thing. You're gonna want to put 17. Nah. Relax. Okay. So the reason I like Miatas is they're low powered, they're inertia cars, and they're cheap. Okay, that's the main thing. To get into them isn't very cheap anymore, but drifting them is extremely cheap. This has to be one of the cheapest drift cars you can have because you're not eating a ton of tires like a BMW or like a Z car or a V8 car or a turbo car or anything like that. You're going to go through almost no tires unless you're really trying to go through tires with a Miata. If I'm in an event that's not hot lapping, I have zero self-control when it comes to hot lapping. But if I'm at an event with no hot lapping where you have to wait and grid, your tires get a chance to cool off, right? I'll go through like a set and a half of tires. So like the back two will be completely done and then like half of another back two. As to where I know people that have gone through like 12 sets of tires with V8 cars and stuff like that. So when it comes to like cost to drift one of these, it's extremely cheap. I mean, you can't beat it. I don't know what I'm paying for. I normally buy 4 tires at a time. I don't remember what I'm paying right now. And nowadays I've just been using used tires. Something that always comes up in the Miata forums that I see is tire size. I've tried multiple different tire sizes. I found that I very much like a 195/45 15. I run 15s now. 195/45 15 on like 8-inch wide wheel or 7-inch wide wheel feels great for me. Depending on the track, I've ran a 205/50 on a 7 or 8. I have one pair of 8.5-inch wide wheels that I like to run the 205/50s on. I've also ran 195/50s and 195/55s, and they all work great. So the one downside to this is, unlike a BMW or a V8 car or a Z car or anything like that, you have to run specific tire sizes. You're not going to put a 215/70 off of whatever kind of car on here and it drift. It's just not going to happen. They don't have the power for that. But as long as you can keep to those 4 different tire sizes, 195/45, 195/50, 195/55, or 205/50, you'll be able to do the thing plenty good. So now that we've covered a little bit of the tire size stuff, I'd like to get into the car setup side of things. Everyone thinks you have to have some crazy angle kit and you have to have tons of power and this and that and this and that, which is absolutely false. We took this car out. Me and my buddy used to share this car. We took this car out. The first outing with it was just TN coilovers that I think I paid $150 for. That's it. That's it. Didn't have a roll bar. You're going to need that a lot of places. We'll get into that later. Didn't have a roll bar. Didn't have any angle. Though it didn't have a welded rear. It had the Torsen thing, which is junk. It had that, and it was just on coilovers. And we took it to an event, and we had a blast. It was great. It was fantastic. You don't need, in Japan, a lot of people buy cars and just drive what they have. You know what I mean? At different various states. I think it's a thing in the U.S. which irritates the shit out of me. Is in the U.S. everybody thinks you need a fully built car to go have fun, which is literally why I have added 0 power to this car. This car has 0 power mods. We'll get into that later too. But that's why I absolutely love this thing. Is I just love proving to people that you don't need a turbo, you don't need a V8, you don't need a huge motor to go have fun in a car. It's just absolutely unnecessary. The only thing this car has, which if I would suggest you buy the car, put coilovers on it, go drive it. If it has an open diff, weld it and go drive it. You know what I mean? Just like that. Go to an event, have a blast. You're going to spin out a bunch. It's okay. I would say do that first. But when it comes to setup, I really feel like this is, I mean, it's pretty much like a go-to setup, but I feel like it's very, very good for what this car is. I have the extended lower ball joints. I cut the knuckles and shortened them myself to give you more steering angle. This is what my steering angles are at right now. I charge like 150 bucks to do that if anybody needs it done. I did that. When you do all that stuff, you do the extended brake lines. I did a power steering cooler, and then I have a welded rear. And I think I did like the 411 rear or whatever they are. And those things, this car is literally perfect. Like actually perfect. I can go out and have a blast on this with this car, and I don't have to worry about anything at all. Nothing. It's just, it's going to work, and it's going to be cheap, and it's the most fun you can have, in my opinion. Now, what I would like to do is I'd like to add rack spacers to give me a little bit more angle. Although I do feel like it's unnecessary. I know a lot of people do it, and a lot of people have success with it. I feel when you have a stock power Miata, you're not going to get that big boy angle. You know what I mean? The only time I get angle like that is when I'm trying to slow down. Because, you know, if you throw that much angle and you get back in the gas, you don't have the power to pick back up out of that angle. So you really got to modulate your angle for your speed. It's kind of how you control, you know, whether you're going to link what section or not is by how much angle you're throwing with these cars specifically. I do want to do it just to see if it changes anything. I know I'll get more angle out of it because what it's doing is it's taking your tie rods and it's bringing them up. So they have, like, when they're angled like this, they don't have as much throw. So when they're flat, they have a lot more throw to them. So I'll be able to get more angle out of it when I do that. Do I think it's necessary? Not so much. I just think it'd be cool to have, honestly. The last event I went to, I think I only spun out like twice, 2 or 3 times. Once I got in some really slick stuff, a bunch of tire rubber. I just came around. The other time is I myself threw too much angle at it, and it started to come around, and I just went full lock, and it saved it, but the car stops because you can't drive out of it. So there's that. That's something in the future I'd like to do. Another thing that was a huge help is I did a steering wheel and a bucket seat, and what a difference. From when I did road racing, I knew it made a huge difference, but going from the stock Miata seats to a full bucket, oh my goodness, you can actually like focus on driving now, and it's the world of a difference. It's amazing. I built custom seat brackets because I'm 6 foot tall, so I built custom seat brackets to get the seat super low to the ground. I think that was one of the best things I did in here, honestly. I mean, the knuckles were definitely the best thing I did, but that's like, they're right next to each other for real. That would be highly suggested too. But I mean, other than those few things, this car's completely stock. It's a stock header, stock intake, stock exhaust. Still has AC, cruise control. It has everything, you know what I mean? So if you think about drifting a Miata, don't go overboard. Just hop in it and drive it, you know? You get a feel for it. I did do a roll bar. I forgot about that. I built a roll bar for it. I still got to finish it. But yeah, let's check it out. I'll open the hood for you and show you all this horsepower. Alright, so there it is. All this crazy horsepower. We did do a radiator just because when we got this thing, the radiator was kind of crusty looking, so we did do a radiator in it. Probably didn't need to, but we did it anyway just to be safe. Yeah, like I said, stock intake. You can see down there, still have AC, power steering, still got the cruise control. I mean, it has everything. Stock header. There's no fancy business under there. It's all stock. Got, like I say, we have the TN coilovers, and that's it. Like, nothing crazy. I know, like, with 240s, people do different clutch lines to get rid of the clutch delay valve. This thing still has a stock clutch in it. So literally nothing done to it. The only thing, like I said, is we did the that's the power steering cooler right there, and it just extended the lines. It's a trans cooler that we use as a power steering cooler, and that's it. As for the front wheel setup, I really like Cozy K1s. I don't know why, I just do. They're like my favorite cheap wheel. So I run a K1 on the front. I have a 2-inch spacer. Some people probably aren't gonna like that, but that's what I run. It's to help it get away from the frame rail and stuff like that inside of there. But it's a 15x7. Then you can see in here, let me see if I can get you like this. That's that extended brake line right there. The extended lower ball joint right there. And then we're not gonna be able to see it on this side. Let's go to the other side. I can show you the cut knuckle. Yeah, there you go. So that's just the short knuckle right there. And that's it. I mean, I cut these because I'm an idiot, so you're not gonna have to do that. But I mean, it's got plenty of room down through here still and stuff like that. And everything stays out of the way. I mean, you can see it's like perfect in here, I think. So we did all that. And then, like I said, it's got the 411 rear diff, which seemed to make a pretty big difference. I think the torsions that we had were the 3.7 or something like that. So the 411 did make a pretty big difference. This is the inside. Like you said, I did the steering wheel. It's got the quick release on it. And then I have a status bucket seat that I just had laying around. So we did that with the harnesses and stuff. And like, I did, Max Peeting sent me a short shifter and I did that. It's all right. Not needed. I don't have, you can see I don't have a hydro. Can't really use them in these. I'm sure people have them and do use them, but you're just slowing yourself down. And I don't use the handbrake ever, so it's only for when I park. So there's that. But like I said, it's just a stock Miata. Anybody can hop in this and learn how to drift it, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna say it's the easiest car to drift, but it's definitely driftable. It's like I was saying that me and my buddy used to share this car. Before we had this, we had a E28 BMW M30 inline 6. That thing, you could just go into a corner, push the clutch in, floor it, let the clutch out, and it had enough torque to just do whatever you wanted to do, no matter the situation. So, you know, if you think you're going to do that with this kind of car, extremely incorrect. It's not going to happen. 0% chance, unless you turbo it or something like that. Factory, what I always tell people with the Miatas is, if you think you're going too fast, go faster. You know what I mean? I don't recommend trying to learn to drift on the streets. Not the place. But if you're at a track and you're like, oh, I can't connect this, and I think I'm going way too fast, go a little bit faster. It'll be fine. It'll take it, I promise. Because all these are is inertia cars. So I'll put some clips of me entering and stuff like that. It's, you just get the car unhappy and you clutch kick it at the same time, and just, you gotta hold it out. And the thing that I had to learn, I had a few different people give me tips and pointers and stuff like that, is I kept throwing too much angle. I kept wanting to do big boy angle and stuff like that, you know, getting up close to walls and throwing a bunch of angle and stuff like that, which is fun, but you're not going to link tracks like that, unfortunately, with this style of car. This style of car, you throw a little less angle and use that speed to get you up with, to keep up with all the other cars, essentially. So if you can think of it this way, right? It's like you have a V8 car, right? So you have all this wheel speed, all this tire smoke coming off, all that stuff. You're lighting the tire up. You have a lot of wheel speed, but you don't have a lot of physical speed. When it comes to low power cars, you know, you're spinning the tire, but it's grippy. It's pretty dang grippy. It's not throwing a bunch of smoke out the back or anything crazy like that. So you have a lot of physical speed over wheel speed. So, you know, drifting a stockish car, you can still keep up with bigger cars. You just can't throw as much angle as they can or stuff like that. And you really have to pick your line. So I noticed my best friend has literally a matching car to this. This is actually his front bumper. Literally the exact matching car to this. It's the same everything. We have the same exact cars. I noticed he daily drives a 600 horsepower Corvette. And the issue with that is that when he gets in the Miata, you know, he just wants pure power to kick it out, which it's not. They make 100 horsepower, if that, you know what I mean? You really have to use speed to get the car to be unhappy and then keep it out from there. After they're out, they're pretty easy to keep out. The only issue you're going to have is the car slowing down, and if it's slowing down, 90% of the time it's a driver's fault. I mean, there's course situations where you slow down for and not be able to pick back up, I'm sure, But I mean, the last two places I went, I thought there was no way I was going to be able to do the whole track, like link the whole track. I thought there was absolutely no way, and I did it, no problems. So I mean, clutch kicks help. um, but yeah, um, another big thing is the alignment. I can't begin to tell you what I did. I don't remember. I know it's like as much casters I can do in the front, as much cambers I can do in the front. In the back, a lot of people don't like to run camber, but because it saves tires and stuff like that, you burn tires more evenly. I opted for a little bit of negative camber in the back just for a little less grip, and I think it made the world of a difference. Yeah, you know, you eat through tires faster and stuff like that, but I mean, worth to me. I think it's worth it. You can go in the Facebook group. There's a Facebook Miata group, Drift Miata group, or something like that, I think it's called. You can go in there and look up different specs that people are running and stuff like that. That's what I did both times, and we kind of just matched it to the majority say in there. It definitely does make a big difference. If you watch some in-car video of me driving, I'm like barely touching the wheel when the car sits where it like it'll get a sweet spot, and you can just sit there and just floor it, and it just sits like it's perfect. I had a buddy that races at Alfa Romeo. He vintage races, like road races at Alfa Romeo, and he hopped in my car and was instantly like surprised at the setup, which is awesome. But I really think that comes down to the alignment and stuff like that. When it comes to power, this is a bone stock 1.8, not the 1.8 out of the NB. That thing makes a ton of power in comparison. This is a stock M edition Miata. So it's the NA 1.8 that doesn't make any power. There's Peanut. So there's nothing done to it. Like I said, it's a stock exhaust, it's a stock header, it's a stock intake. Still has AC, cruise control, power steering, all the belts on it. Stock muffler, you know, it's stock everything. It still has a stock clutch. This car has 108,000 miles on it, and it has a stock clutch, I assume, with 108,000 miles on it. And that's something that I would like to change, but they're expensive, so I'm just going to wait until it dies, and I'll keep sending it. So I think we've covered tire size, we've covered the stuff that I did to get the angle. The angle stuff was worth. The first event we went with no angle. You get to like lock very fast, and then the car will spin. I still suggest you drive the car with stock angle before you put angle on it, just to see the difference. It's pretty cool to see. Yeah, so went over wheel size, went over the angle stuff, went over power. I think that's it. I mean, other than safety stuff, you know, I built a roll bar for it, and it has a fire extinguisher in it, and it has up-to-date belts, and I wear a nice helmet. I am looking into getting a Hans device. I think they're very important. Would I look like an absolute moron in a Hans device in a stock Miata? Probably. Do I care? Absolutely not one bit. You know, I think safety stuff is very important. It's kind of what I do for a living. I mean, I do like welding and fab stuff. I build like turbo kits and stuff like that, but I also build roll cages. I'm very much into the safety side of things. I very much want a Hans device. But I mean, car setup wise, I mean, you're not going like, you're going fast, but you're not going like 150 miles an hour or anything crazy like that. So, you know, I think the last event I was entering at like 60, 65, 70 miles an hour maybe. But then by the time you flick it and then you flick back, you know, you're only going 45, 50 miles an hour or something like that, which is still gives you plenty of time to get on the brakes and slow something down, you know, if something bad's going to happen. Yeah, but I think that about covers it. I mean, the main thing, I probably sound like a broken record. The main thing I'm going to keep saying is, with a Miata, if you think you're going too fast, go faster. That's the only way. It's the only way. And it does take a lot of time to build up that confidence to want to be able to go that fast in a car and commit to a turn. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. It's very hard to do on the street. I don't recommend street drifting a Miata. Take it to a track, and then you can practice throughout the day. You know, I try to say focus on a turn at a time. So, you know, focus on the first turn or the third turn or whatever, but get your speed up going into it. You know what I mean? That way you can carry your speed out of it. Because carrying your speed out of it is what's going to set you up for the next turn. You can go into a turn at 65, 70 miles an hour and stab the brakes and, you know, flick it around. But then if you're only going 20, you're not going to have the momentum to keep going after that. So if you think you're going too fast, just go faster. I promise. You have to fly in these things. But they're an absolute blast, and they're absolutely worth it. And also, I feel if you can drift a small wheelbase car pretty good, you can get in any chassis you want after that and just absolutely kill it. Going from the BMW, which is 5 Series, huge as a boat, to this was a very hard transition. This is very snappy. Comes around like real quick. You know, everything's fast. The BMW was super slow and predictable. You know what I mean? It was like literally just driving a boat. It was super easy. And then you get into this, and you don't have the power, and you don't have the wheelbase, you don't have anything going for you. They are probably one of the hardest cars to drift, especially in the stock form. A lot of people that are watching this, if you haven't Miata already, you're like, oh, they're easy, but they're really not. You know what I mean? I've seen a lot of people struggle to get these sideways. In comparison to, you can hop into a 350Z and anybody can drift that. You can hop into an E36 and anybody can drive that. You know what I mean? These actually take some finessing to drift, but totally doable. I do it. So thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate you. I'll see you all in the next one.